hearing something, or was there something coming in on this speaker? Okay, because all of a sudden it's not happening anymore. It's like, did I just hear something? Because I've done that.
Cases for this stuff, but I think it's just so fun and so exciting. And then the other thing too, Valerian, I'll open this topic and I'll push it back over you to maybe finish it. And that's with regards to like enhanced finance automation solutions at large, right? So when we're talking about reconciliation and automating reconciliations, there's entire platforms generated for this, right? So you have black lines that
now there might be,
Might we know you?
How much? Trying to survive.
Staying busy?
Oh, yeah.
For me? Yes, just holding pattern. Just a holding pattern. Holding pattern. You mean, how about the, yeah, rock? Yeah, they don't know you. No. Okay. We go until it starts raining. Yeah, maybe we'll find out this week. Little water will hurt. Yeah. Okay.
Tom, can you hear me?
I hear you, Philip.
Thank you.
The judge don't have a chair this morning. You gonna stand up? Yeah.
Hey, Montgomery,
Mr. Goins?
420,000. That's good. Get you have a red.
Oh, yeah, I've been out of this for a little while.
Morning, gentlemen.
Man, I guess I could stand today. Yeah. This is a
notice we get real busy at the end of the year? You ever notice we get real busy at the end of the year?
Try to keep from spending money, it don't work.
Well, we've got to wait until that 8:30 hour because that's when it's posted for. So we'll sit in awkward silence for just a few moments if you don't mind.
You want to sing or something?
How's the sound, Dave? Can everybody hear out there okay? Good? Okay. Oh, let me get you a seat.
Mr. Hawkins with us.
No, Scotty, unfortunately, is still in quarantine from COVID. So he's doing well. It's just, it's not time for him to come out yet. So he ran through his house.
Where is when you go to the hospital, at this one?
Here, it was on the Thursday night. Took him out there and they stuck him in the hospital. Kidneys were starting to fail. They had problems. He's home.
Okay.
Still on the hospital.
No, thank you very much.
Talking very loud.
Melissa, can you hear us?
No, but he was starting to get back to his old self yesterday. He was complaining. I said, you get back to normal. What do you mean?
Melissa, your mic's muted. Can you hear us?
Complain.
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Hey, Commissioner Hawkins, I see you're on there with us. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good deal. So for you that don't know, we're going to continue to do, offer the option. We live stream all these meetings. They go out on the internet on a little thing called YouTube. There is a link that we put in our agenda. It's the same link every single time. And the basic is if you can't be with us and there's something you want to talk about on this, we're trying to make Commissioners Court a little more open to doing this for last year. Obviously, COVID has changed the way we do some things. So we're required to have the presiding officer and a quorum present in the room. But beyond that, we can have members join us, members of the public join us. So there's a procedure to sign up to speak online even. So we encourage that participation. All right. Well, at this time, he's present. He's present. Under the rules that they've given us, he is present. All right. So at this time, we're going to call this meeting, the Hill County Commissioners Court to order this Tuesday, September the 28th, 2021. Let it be known that the regular notice of this regular meeting was posted in accordance with Texas Government Code 551, better known as the Texas Open Meetings Act. In a quorum of commissioners is present and established. Commissioner Hawkins, who's still in quarantine, is joining us by Zoom today. So at this time, if we could, Mr. Slayton, could I ask you to give us our invocation, please? Is it Mayor Slayton now?
I usually prefer Brad.
Brad it is.
But today it's Reverend Slayton.
Thanks, sir.
Will you pray with me? Good morning, God of amazing grace. We come before you today with grateful hearts. We thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy in this great country and for the people who gave so much that we might have these freedoms. We thank you for the privilege of living in the great state of Texas and specifically for the privilege of living in Hill County, Texas. We thank you for the slower pace that we have and for the natural beauty that we find throughout our county. We thank you for all the fine citizens who are our neighbors, especially for those who represent us in this court. May we never take any of this for granted. And as the Hill County Commissioners Court gathers on this fine morning, may you guide their discernment. May your guidance and your spirit be upon them. May they make sound decisions that are in the best interest of the citizens of our county. And may each of them look to you as a source of their strength and wisdom. May each of our commissioners look beyond themselves and seek to truly make a positive impact in our county. And may they be abundantly blessed by their actions. Give them the courage to make the unpopular decision when it needs to be made. Give them insight and creativity to unselfishly lead where you would have us to go. We ask a double portion of your Holy Spirit fall upon our county judge, the Honorable Justin Lewis, as he presides over this court. We ask your blessings upon Commissioner Andrew Montgomery, Larry Crumpton, Martin Lake, and especially Scotty Hawkins, who is joining us in a COVID quarantine. May you do for them far beyond what we could ask or imagine by your power at work within them. God bless the USA, God bless Texas, and God bless Hill County. This, our thanks and our petition, I bring to you in the name of the Christian understanding of the only triune God, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Reverend. If you follow me in the pledge of American and Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Being with us this morning, we got a lengthy agenda, as you can see. I'm going to quickly go around the commissioners. Commissioner Montgomery, what's happening in precinct 1 today?
Oh, we're trying to get some equipment running, trying to get some of the grant, FEMA grant projects done. We're fixing to start doing some asphalt roads Monday. Susan about building a bridge on Quarter Horse Road that washed out late spring. Trimming trees and just working, trying to keep everybody well. I got a lot of people out sick, doing what we can.
I hope that passes soon, but thank you. Commissioner Compton, what's going on in precinct 2?
Well, we're trying to finish up some project for the end of the year. We don't have much time left. We're calling for rain, which I hope we get it. Thank Mr. Montgomery for sending a couple of his guys to help us try to finish some chip sealing. That the weather's starting to press us pretty hard to finish that project. Hopefully this week, next week, we'll be done with it and they're done for the year. And I'd like to say, Mr. Watson is still out with the COVID and he was very sick with it. And
Very sick.
Keep him in your prayers.
We definitely will. Glenn Watson being the road foreman for precinct 2. So we definitely keep him in our prayers. Hey, Commissioner Hawkins, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's happening in precinct 3 today?
Oh, I'm, well, being at home, I'm not real sure.
I like your honesty.
I want to give my crew a big shout out. They've been carried on and we've never skipped a beat. We've been hauling rock, cutting brush and shredding just like everything's just normal. So as far as I know, everything's great.
All right. Thank you so much.
You never look better.
Thank you.
Mr. Lake, how are things in your precinct today?
Everyone's fine. We got this brush cutters going and trying to clean up a few ditches. We're ready for the winter.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, Tom, you joining us this morning by Zoom? Emmerich, your microphone. There you go.
You hear me?
I can hear you. What's happening in the emergency management world?
Well, we had a great conversation yesterday with the people with the deer.
All right, Tom, we're gonna have to catch up with you later. Got a bad connection there. We'll try again at the end of this meeting. Anybody from the sheriff's office? Sheriff, what's happening with you today?
We had a very eventful weekend. We had
I
a
would say so.
8-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl that happened in Oski County. Gentleman out of the county located the vehicle, called it in. Very well could have saved the little girl's life. The boy escaped earlier in the morning. And there was a pursuit following, and there was they had a head-on collision. Unfortunately, the lady that was in the other vehicle was deceased, and suspects deceased. The little girl had serious injuries, was paralyzed, but they think she's going to be okay.
Wonderful to hear that.
Everybody, all the other agencies and our guys did a really good job.
We pray for the lost soul of innocent bystanders. So good job in recovering the girl. What a terrible human being that's still a child. All right, at this time then, anybody else elected or appointed official has got an announcement to make? Oh yeah, Ken's here. It's getting dry, I know, but there's rain in the forecast, Ken.
Got 5 days.
I got 5 days.
7 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
That's what my handy dandy phone says.
If it gets any drier, I'm not gonna set a log chain down in the Aquila because I'll lose it.
We have been blessed with the rain. We got ahead of all this, but we are getting ready for some more water right now.
Yes, sir.
People don't understand we're going into our worst fire season right now.
Correct. Okay.
Don't need burn ban.
Well, none of today's agenda.
We need one, but it wouldn't do any good to put it on.
We're not exactly at the 585 level yet. We're getting close to it. That's the Peach Fire and Drought Index, which is the the measure by which we can tell if we're in a burn ban countywide or not, after another emergency. But we'll definitely keep a close eye on it, and for some horrible reason we miss these rains, you can expect it on our next agenda. Hope we don't miss the rains.
We just take what God gives us and live with it. We have to.
Okay. Well, from this chair today, let's talk first about construction projects, what we've got going on. This building, we're slowly wrapping things up, but again, this whole lack of getting materials keeps slowing us down. One day it's nails, the next day it's paint, supply chains being screwed up what they are. We're slowly getting there. It's not as fast as we want, but we're still looking at a November completion date to be out of this. You recall when they said originally after the winter storm Uri, about a year, I think we'll beat that year mark. So a lot of people working really hard to get things done. We appreciate that. The AgriLife extension building, I have drafted that RFP. It's been approved by this court. It is out for bid right now. It's online. I've had a couple of bites so far on it. We've sent it to a few folks. Same thing for the stray livestock pens. That RFP was drafted, previously approved by this court. It's online. Thank you for getting it out there, Philip. And those notices are getting posted in the paper. It ran last Thursday for the first time. We'll have publishers affidavits of those when they come out. So that continues to move forward. We have not yet closed on 505 North Waco. Still working on that warehouse operation. The issue seems to be some paperwork from the seller. We've reached out to the title company and we're ready to go. Just right now, knock on wood, we'll be there shortly, get that taken care of. We continue to offer testing, free testing for COVID-19 at the 205 Stadium Drive, the Hill County Fairgrounds. It's a drive-through. It is the PCR test, which takes about 24 hours to get back. If you suspect that you have COVID, you suspect a family member has COVID, go out there. They will take your insurance, but no cash out of your pocket. And if you do not have insurance, that's okay. They'll charge you back against a federal program called CARES Act. So we encourage you to utilize that. Right now, we're told that we have testing as long as you want it. Now, that being said, as long as you want it, sometimes as long as the government wants it. So we'll keep you informed if things change there, but please continue to take advantage of that resource while we can. Otherwise, I'm going to skip some other things, jump straight into our agenda because we do have a long agenda today. So us time is for open forum. If there's anybody here to speak on an issue that's not on our agenda today, this is your opportunity to do so. We'd love to hear from you. Come on up, Mr. Blaha. I know you, so if you could please identify yourself for the record. Come on up. Mr. Blaha, I know who you are, but if you could identify yourself for the record, please.
Sure. My name is John Blaha. I live on the Hill County Road, 3110 South, near Abbott, Texas. And I've been living in Hill County for about 30 years. I consider myself a steward of the land and what I see going on around me as far as solar panels and the wind turbines and the degradation of the quality of life disturbs me. But anyhow, I just wanted that for the record too. And I can like to start out, I can emphasize with Hill County resident Barbara Jenkins. I read about her in the recent Hill County Reporter and the quality of life issue that she has with the biosolids that people are putting on the farms around in her area. I know how bad biosolids can be and how bad they can smell, having lived in Korea for a couple of years. They used, the farmers there used biosolids on their farms. And they call it night soil, is what they call it there. But it can be responsible for health problems such as human parasites in humans, and also respiratory problems. And I sincerely hope that the county officials can help this lady resolve the problems with that stench in her area. Because I believe that she has, as well as other people, have a right to a certain quality of life. And the neighbors, her neighbors, and my neighbors, we should all regard each other with respect in our rights and things like that. I too have a quality of life issue right now that I believe that county officials can resolve. And as you all know, I'm sure, there is the solar panel project going on Hill County Road 3110 South. There's about 1,500 acres being developed with for the solar panels. Well, the construction people, they continue to speed. A new truck company there. I saw B&T is what it says on one door of the truck. I don't know if that's just an individual, as a contractor, what they continue to speed. This is a new, truck company, because I called before about speeding trucks and it was resolved. They took care of it. Now it looks like there's a new contractor. The trucks look different. And those truck drivers have some pretty heavy right feet, excuse me. There is another problem that really disturbs me and other residents in the area. And the cantonment area of this solar panel company, it's just really lit up at night. And for the last 3 weeks, they have had these the portable lights you see in construction areas with run by a generator. They're very bright. They're almost blinding. I've got some pictures I'll leave with the commission to look at and consider. But they are, this is from my backyard, my back porch. You'll have the opportunity to look at it closer. And I can walk across the south, this is to the south of my house. And I can walk in the backyard of my house and I will cast a shadow upon my house from these lights. You can see their little portable buildings, they have lights in them, that's fine. Those aren't assaulting or tormenting anybody. It's understandable to have for security purposes, to have lights on and whatever for the computers and all that kind of. That's I'm cool with it. But these lights here, the construction or security lights, they're just, that's not, they need to do something. They need to turn it off, turn it in another direction, down possibly, I don't know, I don't think that would be much good. Or like when I saw when they were having the Barnett Shale play here in Texas, some of the construction lights, sites actually had big curtains, for lack of another word, around, so as not to offend the local residents. So I think this can be resolved, and I'm going to leave these pictures for you to keep and to consider your decisions, but I hope that you will take care of this because it is just a torment. Also, just for the, you can look also, you can see the new wind turbine project that they just started here in one of the last years when they created a new redevelopment zone. Well, those things are now up. And for the last month or so, we've had these lights tormenting us at night too. So you can just look at those and you can see how this has impacted the area here in South Hill County. There is a technology available. I've spoken to Judge Lewis about it, gave him a note. I would urge the commissioners to insist on this in the event that there are any more wind turbine projects, that they have this, it's called aircraft identification system. And Judge, I'll just let him tell you what it is. If you want questions.
It's something that we need to add to our restated, third restated, or actually fourth restated economic plans. What the basics of it is instead of that annoying red light being on all night long, it only comes on when a transponder from aircraft gets in with a certain vicinity. And I don't know enough about what that mile range is, but it only comes on at those times.
I know it's a state law. I've read that it's a state law in North Dakota that they have to have this technology on their wind turbines. Also, they're starting to use it in Europe also, and they have technology. So I'll just leave these with you and the county commissioner's court.
You say 3110 County
Yes,
Road?
Hill County Road 3110 South. I live in 1072. is my address, and they're south of that. So you can look it up on a GPS or however you want to.
Make a ride down there with you.
I've taken, these pictures were taken at various degrees of light at the dusk up to dark. So you can see, there's even some in the daylight. You can see the light is on. This is taken on the Sunday. So I would ask the commissioners for board to address this ASAP.
Thank you for coming. Bob. Anybody else for open forum this morning?
I'm sure the non-medical plant.
What do you think of that?
It was impressive. It's a big building, and I was surprised at how little of the footprint of that building the production line takes up. Most of it's warehouse.
Really?
Because they produce that foam board so quickly. They'll be running trucks over there all day.
Okay, good deal. Anybody else?
Judge, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Is that better than it was?
It's much better, Tom.
All right. Just real quick, I want to let you know I had a great meeting with NEAR yesterday. I think it's going to blow our minds to just realize how many people are in our county during the daylight hours that are not counted. So we should have that information here the next few days, and I'll be sharing that with you. And really, that's the only thing I had to share.
Okay, thank you. Just for clarification, what Mr. Henrik's talking about, for some time, we've had ideas, we've known there's more people here than we think there is. So our census count came back in 2010 at 35,089. Our census count for 2020 is going to come back at 35,880 some odd, about a 720 person jump. We make our emergency management plans. We plan for disasters. We plan for flooding. We plan for tornadoes. We plan for mass casualties, all these based on these numbers. But knowing the 35's here, we know that we have more people than that. And there's some new technology out that allow us, those of you that have a cell phone that have Google Maps or Waze or Apple Maps on it, that tracks constantly where that phone is. And that's how you get that information into the system. They run through some algorithms to come up with traffic slow or not. We can also use that to get an idea of how many people are in Hill County, how many people come here for work each day, how many people are here for pleasure on the west side of the county, how many people are on the interstate. I think that that's going to give us a number of people in the county each day, and it's not just for emergency management purposes. Well, that's what we originally started off. We also now see it as an economic development tool. When we make our arguments to the HEBs of the world or the Chick-fil-A's or whatever, you name your business, how many people are you actually serving? Well, I can show you by a certain point, X number of people pass through here, and we can extrapolate from that the number of folks that we have. So that's something we continue to move forward with. Tom's been looking into that information. We have a contact with the Council of Governments that we're going through, and hopefully be able to report on here in the next couple of months what that true number actually is. And that may make us make some adjustments in our emergency plan. I'd rather know up front than later, to be frank with you. So, all right, well, that is our open forum today. And at this point, it's consent agenda. And we have consent agenda action on minutes, action on invoices, action on payroll, and action on monthly corporate revenue disbursement. All of these things you will find in your packets. And if you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any individual item of the consent agenda that we need to pull aside for discussion, addition, deletion, or corrections? Hearing none. All right. In which case, I will call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Be there any abstentions? Hearing none. The motion shall pass unanimously. Wait. I don't know what I did with the clip on this one. Sorry, it got away from me. Pulling me apart to look at them, the next thing you know. All right, so let's move along into our court orders. First is a public hearing on Hill County's intent to enter into a tax abatement agreement with Hill Solar One LLC relating to a solar farm and transmission facilities capable of generating and transporting electricity. At this time, Mr. Mike Dixon, counsel, what do you have, sir?
Just to kick it off, you'll remember you approved Hill County Reinvestment Zone number 7 at an earlier meeting. It contains approximately 5,607 acres of land. It's leased land. The improvements that are part of the tax abatement agreement are what's put on the land, not the land itself. The owner of the improvements is Hill Solar One LLC out of Austin. That's also the applicant for the abatement. It's for the construction and installation of facilities and equipment for the operation of a maximum 400 megawatt AC solar electric generating system, facility and transmission equipment lines. The capital investment is estimated to be over $448 million. The taxable value to start is estimated at a minimum of $340 million. And today, the legislature changed things up a couple of years ago where you have a 90-day or 30-day notice that you have to put out. And then we've added on to that a public hearing. So at this point, you can proceed into the public hearing. I just wanted to put out there what the basic facts were.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, let the record reflect that the time is 8:55. That clock's not quite right. Forgive me, let's get that fixed. I have Apple say it's 8:55, and that we are opening a public meeting of the Hill County Commissioners Court for the purpose of discussion on the intent to enter a tax abatement agreement with Hill Solar One LLC relating to a solar farm and transmission facilities capable of generating and transporting electricity. At this time, is there anybody who'd like to speak on that? John, you're welcome to go first if you want to. This fellow's from Hill Solar, if you want to hear what he has to say.
Morning, see y'all again. Wanting to give an update on the project for everybody. So we are still planning 400 megawatts AC there with the capacity. Some news recently in that Encore has confirmed to us that there is available capacity on the line for that size of project. So that confirms the investment amount, that confirms what we hope to bring into the county. And so we're still thinking on an outside date, Q1 2025 will be our commercial operations date. However, it appears to us that Encore luckily is on time and getting the studies back to us on time. And there's a good likelihood that we could bring that date in. It really depends on Encore and the study process and when we receive our final studies through that process. So right now, we received that study. We are going through some of our initial diligence with regard to the on-site waters. So there are some wetlands on site that we have to avoid, and we're working with the Army Corps to delineate those wetlands so that we can have a more final layout of the solar panels. So we'll completely avoid all the existing watershed and all of that, so we won't affect that. We're also working on our side to research the mineral ownership. It's a big issue here in Texas, as you can imagine. And working with some of the mineral owners to put in place set-aside agreements for future drilling activity should it occur on our property, so that our project can coexist with ongoing or future potential drilling activity that may occur on site. So just want to emphasize, we're here to answer questions. We're based in Austin. We're a U.S. company, privately based, privately funded, and we commit. I know that those issues are brought up in construction, the lights, speeding. We're going to be the developer through construction here, and we commit to being available to solve those issues with the local population here. And we intend to be a good partner here locally. We have been in the past. We have gotten good reviews from county officials and landowners and neighbors in the past of these projects that we've done. So fully intend to be a good partner to Hill County. That's it on mine.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. John?
Yes, I don't know if I'm quite right. Did you already approve the tax abatement for this?
No, we've done a reinvestment zone.
Yeah.
Or reinvestment zone hearing.
Okay.
Then we publish for 45 days, let the whole world know what we're up to, print it on our agendas, put it out. Another public hearing, which is not technically required, but we believe in the best interest of transparency. And then after this public hearing, there's an action item on the agenda today.
Okay. Well, in that case, thank you. In that case, I strongly urge the Kent Commission not to grant a tax abatement based on things like what I've just presented here. I know that I believe that the landowners and the people in the neighborhood are going to have buyer's remorse when these things start putting in. This individual, he's a nice guy, I'm sure, but you can't do anything with these construction companies that you just can have very little control over what they do as far as their truck drivers go, as far as the noise goes, the lights. People are going to do what they want to do. Also, as a steward of the land, these considering myself a steward of the land, these projects, they take valuable farmland or ranch land out of production for a year, a generation. I mean, because most of these for them to be of any value, these things projects have to be long-term leases, 30 years with 2 5-year extensions possibly. So that's a generation at least that this ground will be out of agricultural land, be out of production. And who knows in the meantime what kind of pollution these things may have. Where I see what they're doing in my area, they're pouring all kinds of lime and things like that on the ground into dirt to keep it stable, because our area there is that black land and it's very unstable. That ground is going to be, for all intents and purposes, in perpetuity non-farmable anymore. The people who enter into these leases will be long gone by the time these leases are over. I mean, being a generation, most of these people are probably my age, old, middle-aged. They'll be gone. Their heirs, if there are any, will be. They won't be interested in returning the land to an agriculture use, because they don't have no emotional ties to it. They'll have no investments in it whatsoever. It'll just be just a check in the mail once a year or whatever. And everybody knows that it's going to be hard to be weaned off of that money. They're not going to want to do it. So once those things go, these projects go into production, and they're there to stay for, like I said, probably perpetuity. And I believe that this land, what if they go bankrupt? They say we have bonds and all this kind of thing. Well, if they go bankrupt, the phones will be disconnected. Who are you going to talk to? Somebody will just say, well, we're sorry for inconvenience or something like that. And you're just stuck with all this equipment and stuff that's on your place. And you can't just dispose of it because it contains things like rare earth minerals. I believe that they have lithium. There are big battery plants, lithium battery plants, where they have to store the energy that is generated by these solar panels until such time they can use it. So the lithium batteries, you can't just put those into a landfill and things like that. So I think that once people get into these, enter into these agreements, there is some buyer's remorse, and I know that the revenues tax revenues they generate, or and all the money that these people can offer, that has an effect on us. And it's like having fairy dust or something thrown in your eyes, and you see dollar signs and it looks great, but I believe that we have to look into the long term and overall picture of things. And I just really don't think that these panels, they're not very, we've seen last winter how they're not very effective, how they failed miserably. Wind turbines failed miserably in the winter weather. Just for as much as it all costs, they just don't pay for themselves, other than generate tax revenues or pay a check once a month or a year for the people who are in these contracts. But as far as being effective, they're just not, technologically, they're just not, for as much as they cost, it's not cost effective. And they make people feel good because we're not, green energy and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, they're not so green. This stuff is hard to dispose of when it's decommissioned. It's like I said, it's got rare earth minerals in it, things like that. And I don't, to my knowledge, none of that stuff is recyclable. So I just urge the council, the commission to not approve any abatements, and hopefully they'll just go away, take their project somewhere else, because it's just really not good for our area as far as maintaining our way of life. I was interested with the prayer of maintaining our beautiful county and things like that. Solar panels and wind turbines do not contribute to the aesthetic sense of our in the beauty of our county. We're going to ruin the rural county, all of these things, and we won't be able to give our children what we've enjoyed, because we'll be covered up in solar panels and lights from wind turbines and things like that. So that's just what I feel. I am just not for these renewable energy sources, and as much land as they take up, the lack of efficiency. Other than the tax revenues and the money, that's the only good thing comes out of it. So I hope that you'll just reconsider giving them not having an abatement for this company, and that they'll just go on back to Austin and do something else. But anybody can look at these pictures and you can see what's going to happen when when the construction people come into their areas. All the disruption, and once the owner, correct me if I'm wrong, will put chain link fences around
The perimeter, yes, sir.
and then will they have razor wire on top of it and stuff like that?
Yes.
Will can the owner, will they ever be able to enter onto that property while in the lease and those solar panels are there?
Well, it's operating with notice, they can visit the property to ensure that we're mowing grass, doing that type of maintenance work. But
What kind of bonds do you have, company guarantee that you'll be able to figure out to clean those things up and you're finished? Throughout business, you want to be responsible for those things up. There's any claim going in, if your company goes out of business.
in all of our agreements, our individual agreements with private landowners, Wayne Davis is here, UC Boston is here. We have restoration bond provisions, very extension provision where we're putting our money aside to make sure that the money there is for land.
Who keeps it?
To us, it's a third party bond holder.
But I just think that people that have these things, they're going to have experience. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys want to go on up, it's still public hearing, just what we're here for, I'm here from everybody today.
No, our vice president of project execution and construction engineering is actually on Zoom, Randy Jenks.
Yeah, Mr. Jenks, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead. And I think I'm gonna let Randy speak to some of the issues that were brought up. I can answer a couple of them. At this time, we're not planning to put any batteries on this project. The other thing is the panels themselves, the material is silicone, so sand, so naturally occurring materials, glass, copper, all those materials are recyclable. Randy, if you want to speak to some of those other issues, I'll let you take that.
Well, I want to be brief. You people are busy, but if I may, I'll throw a couple of items out there just in support. The cells in these panels are, as Dominic mentioned, are essentially silicon in nature. The process of making the cells heats them to the point where what you end up with acts like a dinner plate, if you will. If the cell were for some reason to break, and it would just sit there, it would not leak. There's nothing that comes out of them. It's solid material. We have no idea how long these things will last. Current manufacturers' guarantees exceed 25 years. 80% of the output or more is expected to occur at that point. So from the perspective of what do we do with these, we think we can recycle them at the end. There are emerging companies coming up now that take these panels and they reconstruct them. In many cases, they build lower rated panels with cells that are aged. The federal government just turned out a report, by the way, regarding the February freeze. They claimed that of the 1,045 failures that occurred, 22 of them were with solar facilities. The average output of solar facilities was 8% higher than expected during that period of time because snow is a very good reflector. It's like putting a mirror next to these things. It increases the light on them. I would point out 604 natural gas plants failed, 285 wind plants had problems, 58 coal plants, and even the 4 nuke plants in the state. So from the perspective of reliability, we believe, and we're willing to listen to the federal government on this, that the reliability of solar plants is extremely good. I would point out that putting power into the grid in Hill County has a tendency, regardless of where the dollars go, the power in the grid will stabilize the power supply in the county. As Dom said, we take everything out when we're finished. I'm not aware of anybody putting lime on the ground. That may have been the possibility of maybe caliche being used for roads, something of that nature. We have no plans of any kind to use lime or anything of that nature. And we would also be looking at if we have dust suppression requirements, which is under law required, we would just use water for that, and we would purchase the water to do so. I'm not aware if I've left anything out. Dominic or Judge, please let me know.
Are any of the landowners that are doing this project willing to speak to us today? Let us know your thoughts on it. I'm not going to twist anybody's arm, just curious to hear from different perspectives.
E.C. Rawson.
Mr. Rawson?
We went into this agreement thinking several different things. First of all, it's extremely good opportunity not only for us as landowners, but for the taxpayers of Hill County. We're bringing business into the county, a tremendous amount, as it turns out, to give a tax structure that will help promote and help our citizens. I don't know as a landowner or anything else that I could do that bring this kind of a volume of a business into the county. I know my ag does not do that. Now, is there some regrets on that part? Yes. To answer some of the questions from before, you study the map, you notice there's a big blank section right in the middle of that. Guess what? That's our blank section of about 1,100 to 1,200 acres. So that area there for wildlife, whatever, we're going to try to take care of that. Means something to us too. It also gives us additional ag and recreation for our family and whatever. I appreciate the gentleman's concern that asking about, taking care of land and stuff like that. Land is very important to me, and Dominic can tell you, because he and I visited quite frequently over probably almost a year, not hammering out, making sure that that land is returned to lifetime or better. Making sure that financial responsibilities. My family grew up in West Texas, so we're, familiar with oil and gas. Not a lot of difference as far as trying to make sure the companies that come in and do something that's going to disrupt land for future value, future generations, and future value. On that part, I am very pleased to think that we've done a good job of doing our contract so that everything is protected, not only us, but the surrounding land. They are supposed to, and according to contract, do all of that and take care of it, and make sure that anything that is a problem is mitigated. So I have no concerns on that part because that's all in black and white.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Wilson. Yes, sir.
My name's J.N. Davis, and we've owned the property since 1998, and we raise cattle there. And those of you that live up on the hill there know that it's pretty tough because of thin soil. And but anyway, we've done that all these years. And as far as it was mentioned that for our kids and our other generations, to me, this preserves the land for all these years. And at the end of that time, they will remove the equipment and restore the land. And so my kids and my grandkids will have this acreage at that time. And like you see, we only have 745 acres, of which about 600, probably less than that, once they do their survey, will be used for the solar panels. And so the creek areas, the wooded areas that's on the property will be preserved. And so we think it's a good thing for us, and certainly for our kids, and probably for our grandkids too, going forward. So, and I know it doesn't sound like we've been here very long, 23 years in Hill County. And, but one of my relatives gave me a receipt from one of my family members, and I don't remember the exact date. It was 1895 or early 1900s for the taxes that they paid in Hill County. And I guess I didn't know that we had relatives here that far back, but there were several that grew up in Hill County. So anyway, we think the project's good for us. And and like EC said, there's still open areas as in with our property for the wildlife, what little wildlife there is. If the armadillos and raccoons move over to ECs, that'll be okay with me because they're an issue for us. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Superintendent, might I ask real quick, what's your school board's take on this? This project is in your ISD, I understand.
Yes, sir.
This Superintendent Mark Parsons.
Mark Parsons, Superintendent of Itasca ISD, resident of Hill County, live in Itasca. Thank you for letting me visit with you today. There's no doubt that this is a controversial topic when you talk about what it can do to the county. But as my role as superintendent of Itasca ISD, my number one job is to make decisions that best impact our students, bar none. a project like this is in good interest with students and community of Itasca for several reasons. This would actually be our second opportunity to see the potential of a solar farm in our district. About a year ago, we entered into a 313 agreement with another company out in Fowler Valley. During our public hearing at that time, we had no opposition from the community, and our board did a lot of work, a lot of workshop and input into this topic. And we felt it was best for us to be able to provide better opportunities, perhaps facilities and infrastructure to our district without having to impact our taxpayers. And I think that's one of the big things to remember or to consider today is, although we're talking about an abatement of taxes in the school district business, that's only on one side of the overall tax rate. We would be entering into an abatement on the maintenance and operations side, but on the interest and sinking fund is where we create debt. This is our opportunity, and forgive me, Mr. Salinas, for saying this, but to take advantage of individuals like this, because we can tax them at 100% value. $448 million to a school district on tax value could allow us to create a cafeteria that actually fits all our kids, or finish out some buildings that will never finish, or upgrade some facilities without having to dip into the pockets of our taxpayers. And we might be able to even lower the tax rate. And so for things of that nature, it's very beneficial. And that's my job, is to make sure I make those decisions for our students. I think it was said here in the last meeting when we talked about reinvestment zone. I think the comment was made that it's coming whether we like it or not. Big business is coming. And so I was sitting here thinking today, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Well, if we don't do something different, we're not going to get any different results. And so there's pros and cons to this topic. There's no doubt. But for me, as a representative of our community and our district, this is a great opportunity for the students of Itasca State.
Thank you, Superintendent, for your comments. Is there anybody else here to talk for the public hearing? Seeing no other person standing up for commentary on the public hearing, please let the record reflect that we will close the public hearing at approximately 9:21 a.m. on the 28th day of September 2021. So that brings us to number 3, which is discussion and possible action on approval of the tax abatement agreement between Hill County, Texas and Hill Solar One LLC. Mr. Dixon, any commentary on that agreement?
It follows our standard schedule for green abatement. That is part of our tax abatement guidelines. Solar will be straight line depreciation. And so like with anything, you see depreciation of the taxable amount. But one thing is solar is they have to be at 20% essentially forever, at least, you know. So if they depreciate it, can't depreciate it, at some point it stops, and even 20% of 400 so million is still pretty good. They're 15, 10, 15 years down the line. In other words, it never depreciates.
Okay.
How about it change?
No. Martin, your thoughts? Is it your precinct?
I think it's a good thing. I'm a farm kid, and that old mountain, I've been over it all through the years. And at this time of year, you can't grow a top picking thing up there. And I think it's very good use. And to say the other thing is, people don't want things changing. I think we've already talked about the text dot says we will have 1,000 new residences every year for the next 2 years. And the people are coming. And I've told some of my friends who farm, 10 years from now, they probably won't have anything to farm. So because of that,
I think it's a good thing. I'm kind of old school. I thought CDs were just a fad. I didn't think they'd ever take off. I thought everybody stayed with cassettes, but I was wrong. Times change. It's coming. It doesn't matter what you do. it's coming. Either we take advantage of this or the next county's gonna take advantage of it. And we're gonna be wondering why we're still driving around on roads like a third world country. It's just the way it's gonna be. This is the way it is.
About how much will that generate per year for Hill County?
I don't, on the 340 million amount, based on our tax.
Just a ballpark figure.
Off the top of my head, I'd be lying to you. I have to get the calculator out.
That means you're gonna get an extra $100 every year.
Well, I think we'll designate it to our precincts. Yeah.
They're all in precinct 4. Are you certain what you're saying today?
Well, we need to press spread it around the precinct.
You got 2 votes for that, apparently.
We need to generate some fund to upgrade our roads in each precinct.
Well, just clarify on this, is just to let you know this, and what we're negotiating today at tax payment, the only thing we talk about tax payment is our general fund rate. We do not negotiate on the FM lateral because that is,
correct.
because the FM laterals,
You would have to repay that lateral if you took any funds.
exactly. So the basic with this FM lateral obviously can only be used for gravel, for coal. You can't even pay people out of it. You can use it for diesel and maintenance and grease and machinery. But we don't negotiate on that for that simple fact.
If it wasn't for effluent lateral, we couldn't improve anything.
No. We couldn't maintain what we have.
I don't have concerns over land use on this project at all. And I'll tell you why. Because we're not putting houses on it. What I see all around our county right now, and God bless everybody that's doing it, that's your business, not mine. If I wanted it not to change, I would have gone out and bought the land. Not that I have the money to do that, but here we are, that's my options. But I see every large piece of property around here getting split up and houses put on it. And that's bringing more people to the county. And we know that's going to happen. We've been told that by the state demographer. We've been told that by TxDOT and their plans. We know these things happen. When a house goes up, that's a whole different thing than this solar farm goes up. When the house goes up, we've got people, it drives the wildlife out, it changes the flow of water on properties. It changes the entire nature of that particular property. I'm not saying there's not going to be a change with these solar panels, but I encourage you to do what I've done. Go down to Highway 6 in Falls County, Texas, get out of your car on the side of the road and sit there for about half an hour and watch those solar panels move and see what you see. Now 6 is pretty loud behind you, so that's not helping anything, but the rest of it is tranquil. It's grass. It's a pasture with solar panels on it. If you go over just the other side of Meridian, same thing. You can go see these. We look at it from the standpoint, what's the best use of land? Well, number one, I don't own the land, and our government does have the right to come onto your private property and tell you what to do. So if the landowners are in agreement, this is the best thing for their property, and it doesn't affect the health and welfare, and I've seen no study that says these do affect the health and welfare of our citizens, then I find myself in favor of it. So, well, this time we've had our discussion. Is there any action on this of the approval of tax abatement agreement between Hill County, Texas and Hill Solar One LLC? So there's a motion and a second to approve a tax abatement agreement between Hill County, Texas and Hill Solar One LLC. Gentlemen, is there any further discussion on this issue? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstention? Let the record reflect the vote was unanimous. Number 4 on our agenda today is discuss and approve employee wage status changes. Do you need to? Okay, good. All right, so we have employee right status changes. Guys, there's going to be a lot of these because the first full payroll takes effect from our new budget. So we're doing some of those today. We have Tina Lincoln, the chief JPO officer, Terry McElrath with JPO, Angela Buck with JPO, Marlon Pettis with JPO. I'm going to read tons of these, sorry. Arnulfo Flores with JPO, Robert Wilkinson with juvenile probation, JPO. Hold on, we're getting to it. Ryan Morrow with transport deputy is moving on to greener pastures, and we Amanda Miller, as you guys may or may not be aware, has come back to us from jail for us. So always like to see Mrs. Miller around. So those are the payroll wage changes for these 20 days. Totally sign that. Now we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's a different story. I'll get back to that. Discuss and approve monthly reports and fee offices. We have in your, whoa. I'm sorry. I have more payroll wage changes I did not see. Please bear with me for a second. I shuffled them out. So we have dispatcher, Mr. Brandon Reed has moved on. Ryan Morrow, again, this we already took care of. That's a duplication. Mallory Harris has moved on from the sheriff's department. And a new hire, Benjamin Calabrese, is working in the jail. Welcome aboard, Mr. Calabrese. And Mr. Trevor Armstrong is no longer with us in the sheriff's office. Now, forgive me, those are all of the payroll wage
I'll
changes.
amend my motion to include the.
Thank you. Motion and second amended. I will now call, all in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Carried. Oh, sorry about that, guys. All right, certification of revenues. Ms. Parker, I know we had some from an email I got last night from Susan about 9:45. They are, okay, they're just not in the right front of me. There we go. They got shuffled behind me here. Bear with me. Yeah, we do a fee offices, forgive me. Well, we don't, so the monthly report for fee offices, you'll find in your budget for 9/23, it's this 4-pager. You can look at the combined states. You're right. I thought we had fee offices. There they are. I'm sorry, I get into this thing, I tear it apart to look at it, and when I reshuffle it, let's just say Justin's organizational skills aren't exactly what they should be someday. I therefore apologize. Thank you for getting me straight this morning. Fee offices, that's the bigger, thicker thing here, which is, we've got the fee office report from the tax assessor collector's office. They collected a total of $288,044 this last month. And then we look at the fee permit applications. That's one I like to point out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 new septic tank permits last month. 19. So if anybody thinks that growth isn't coming, it's here. It's here and it's been coming here for a while. So 19 of those, we've got that. You look at your fee journal and fund by fee codes, it's like the fee office, constable fees and whatever else. But this is the monthly fee report for fee offices for. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Motion and a second to approve the monthly report for fee offices. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry. All right, so let's go back to what I prematurely started on, which is certification of revenues. First is Hill County Precinct 1 in the small amount of $424,207 from FEMA. That was neither budgeted nor anticipated. That's wonderful. Then we have the second one, certification revenue for the courthouse flood. This is our next payment, $593,771. And that is from our insurance, the Texas Association of Counties. And those are the two certification revenues for today.
Make a motion through.
Motion and second to approve the aforementioned certification revenue. Is there any further commentary? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry unanimously. We're going to move on to budget amendments as a natural progression from our certification of revenues. And what we have before us is the budget amendment for Road and Bridge 1. We take a grant revenue of $424,207, and we're going to allocate it on the expense side of the ledger to 500 in bonds, 120 contract service, 120,000 contract services, 73,770 in repairs, 120,000 in construction material, 40,000 in fuel, 35,000 in part-time wages, and 35,000 in capital outlay. That would be the next budget amendment we have in front of us is for insurance proceeds budgeted in the amount of $855,617. And this is the courthouse. What we've received so far, Texas County, first couple of payments. And we're allocating that 25,005 bonds and insurance, 545,000 contract services, 375,617 in repairs, and 87,300 in capital outlay. So the next budget amendment that we have today is the district attorney's office. The district attorney has had allocated for the last 2 years a position for investigator. He's recently hired that position, and we're allowing him to use the funds that have been unspent to, or proposing to use the funds that have been unspent to purchase a vehicle. And so what they're doing is going to subtract from the staff wages, Social Security, retirement, term life, capital outlay for that particular position for those funds not spent to this point. And that comes up to $58,130, and they'll set that aside for the purchase of a vehicle. And last but not least is Justice of the Peace Precinct 2. And what we have is we're going to take money from both supplies and miscellaneous, for $250 for miscellaneous, $240 for supplies, and we're going to add that to postage for the year end. As you know, for a long time, Judge Brazel has operated on his predecessor, and quite a bit of postage on the machine. And we're finally getting to the end of that, so we're making a move there. But those are the budget amendments presented to this board.
Make a motion to approve amendments.
Have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as per stated. Is there any further discussion on these budget amendments? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Yeah.
All opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it, the noes no. I'm gonna pass the most quarters around. Next is discuss and or approve engagement letter from Buyer and Company. I believe this is year 4 of our outside auditor. It is our typical line of business that every 5 years we change outside auditors, so we're not there yet. But Buyer and Company, I believe, has done a pretty good job for us the last couple of years. We do not change auditors for any other reason than we believe it's good to have another set of eyes on our books every now and then. It's for public transparency. We'll let somebody else come in and see what we're doing. So again, we're still in year 4 of this. I believe this actually makes year 4 of this. So we have a letter from the Buyer and Company to engage us for next year's audit, which I like to start early with everybody. And I would recommend its approval to this court. Motion and a second. As you know, that we have a county auditor who's responsible for the day-to-day audits, and then the court has a responsibility, and this is our audit, and our responsibility is to audit the auditor, audit everybody else at the same time. That's the checks and balances the state puts in place.
It's always fun.
It's a lot of work, a lot more work than I ever imagined it to do. So, all right, in which case, I'll call the question with no further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry. Number 9, discuss and approve Hill County Workers' Compensation Program renewal. It's that time of year again where we have to re-up our workers' comp. There's a lot of issues with us. What do we got going on there? Thank you, sir.
Every year we talk about our workers' compensation renewal. If you look into page 2, you'll see that as usual, our estimated payroll amounts have gone up a bit. So I just added in the numbers to reflect payroll changes for this year's budget and longevity pay. There's a couple of items that are that stand out. With the election personnel has changed about $10,000. I used the actual numbers that we had for election workers.
Well, we had a considerable increase in election workers the last 2 elections due to the COVID pandemic, so I expected that increase was going to happen.
Well, it actually went down.
It went down?
It went down. I think we overestimated last year as a problem.
Okay.
So we use actual numbers from fiscal year 20.
Our actual costs went up though, but where insurance went down.
Our actual cost went up, but our estimation last year
Was over, so it's compensating for that. Okay, that explains that.
For the jurors, back to fiscal year 20 pre-COVID, so that we could get a better idea of the expenditures there. And other than that, it's just a reflection of, like I said, the wage changes that are coming this year and longevity pay. All of our coverages, I suggest that we stay the same with all of our coverages currently.
So right now we're covering elected officials, we cover volunteers, we cover jurors, we cover election workers, we cover obviously all other employees, clerical and law enforcement.
And I suggest we do the same.
Okay.
Also, we are part of the alliance. If we choose to stay in the alliance, which is a pool of doctors or workers' comp cases, that saves us about $4,000 or $5,000 a year.
Okay.
And it seems to be working really well.
Did we have a substantial number of workers' comp claims last year? I don't want to name conditions.
Not really. Not really.
You might?
So we have an employee at the sheriff's office who had an injury, and she's coming up on 1 year, and this workers' comp company, her medical rep has changed now 6 or 7 times. Everything is delayed in getting prepared, getting approval. They're actually delaying the process. The doctors are having to submit repeated requests for approval for procedures and testing and things like that.
Is that to align to the Texas Association of Counties?
I'm not sure.
Can you get us some more information on
I
that?
can, because it's been extremely frustrating for the employee, and it's potentially going to cause permanent damage because of all the delay and her not getting the treatment and the care that she's needing. So yes, I think we need to look into this further.
I agree. First, I've heard of it, but now that you brought it to my attention, we're going to mess with it. Yeah. We need to look into it.
Yes, and if we're not talking, then I can help facilitate that. If I know.
Yeah, keep in contact with Rhonda, and I'll follow up with Rhonda about this, because we shouldn't have an employee suffering like that.
The network is extensive. I don't really think that it changes a whole lot, because a lot of the providers that, you know, that are outside of the network are just not doing the workers' comp. That's the same way. But if you're having a problem with getting care, I need to know that.
Texas Association of Counties always offered us the best deal on workers' comp. They do it because they're such a large pool. They include some of the counties. They have a bit of a balance when you get a few clients. But that does concern me. I'd like to know the circumstances, to the limitations that I can in those circumstances surrounding them. Okay. Well, that doesn't affect my decision today to recommend that we approve the Texas Association of Counties Risk Management Pool workers' comp insurance, simply because we have to have workers' comp insurance. This is the cheapest thing we've been able to find in the past, but we will get straight to tack.
I'm at the motion.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the Hill County Workers' Compensation Program renewal of the Texas Association of Counties. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
No.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right, so I want to take just a couple of minutes real quick to wet my whistle, and we will come back to discuss Tyler software for payroll, what you guys get set up for that. We will take about a 5-minute recess for anybody that needs to go take care of business. Be back in here approximately at 9:45 a.m. We'll see you in just about 5 minutes. Stand recess for 5 minutes.
I don't know, which is pretty much a year.
Some of the communications, some of the communications, there is no.
I can certainly intervene if I know, and we can also get things to work with it. I mean, don't mind to say, I know I said to one, but it may not I can't read into it. Emphasis sometimes, you know, that there is. But I don't worry about it.
Well, the biggest issue there is that and so she's had some requests for us in her comment. She's starting over, and then so this request went to this and it's no longer active. Where she has her hands on. So.
Yes, they need to do this. Today, she is over all of that operations. She will do. Don't mind to reach out.
Okay.
I don't think it's because honestly, I think like a lot of this, they don't do it. And really there's a lot of strange.
Yeah.
And they're all looking for home. And I don't like the push up.
Yeah.
They don't make me aware. They haven't made me aware.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Feelings are coming back in some toes.
How are you, sir? Keep doing it. Don't try. Keep doing it. We got to. You're all right. Keep going. Try to finish up the project this week. We bring. He shut me off for years. Yeah. I got cracks on that. You lose a dog, you know. Yeah. Keep adding, I don't think you're done yet. I don't think so either. Because they stay out there, because I a few weeks ago, about getting some of it. He said, "No, he said, this is just the first phase, so they move the traffic over to the new part. That is. Trees. Right away. Go ahead and go, Jerry. Tell me which one. I'll clean up the mess. We gotta start putting some trees back. We gotta get them because they're on the road. So. What's our house? Chicken market, they don't know, they don't know out there. They don't know what we're talking about. We got a duck truck.
Well, they tried that. Yeah, I know. Sit down there.
No, I don't think so, but I try to include everybody in these decisions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna call this meeting back to order from recess. Let the record reflect, it is approximately 9:46 a.m. It is continuation of the meeting started this morning at 8:30, 28th September 2021. A quorum of commissioners is still present and established. So next option is discuss Tyler software for payroll. At this time, Ms. Burkhart, what do you got?
Our salesperson was unable to attend today, so they respectfully asked that we put that.
Glad to. Would you like to try to move to the 14th?
Let's move it to the 28th, thing to be away.
I understand. You got it. So, all right, we'll table that until October, the second meeting in October. All right, now number 11, discuss and approve the final plat for J&J subdivision. This plat that's in front of us. It's in off of FM 2719 in Hill County Road 4113. We've had it reviewed. Our engineer / our county surveyor has reviewed it. He is good with it. The committee met and recommended some approval to this board. I don't know. I think civil, but maybe that is a structural. So, all right, we have who made the motion? Oh, I thought you did. Oh, no, I said the committee recommended, but if I'm making a motion, I'm making a motion. So I'll make a motion, and there is a second to approve a final plat for J&J subdivision. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? That's it, yes, ma'am. Let me go ahead and sign those. You got it. Push this back out of the way. You need. And these are copies of what we have on top is the two final plats, the preliminary plats, the bottom one for your review in case you see any differences. I believe we did. Number 12, while we're going around on that, is discussion and action on the FY 2022 Texas Defense Commission Formula Grant. As you know, each year we have applied for the formula grant for the Texas Defense Commission. This year is no different. Before us is the application and resolution, which you see in your packets. Basically, what I have to do is have you guys approve this resolution, and it's under the provisions of Texas Government Code Section 79037. There you go. And the Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 173, counties are eligible to receive grants from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission to provide improvements in indigent defense services in the county. And whereas this grant program will assist the county in implementation and improvement of indigent criminal defense services in this county, and whereas Hill County Commissioners Court has agreed in the event of loss or misuse of the funds, Hill County Commissioner assures the funds will be returned in full to the Texas Defense Commission. Now therefore be it resolved in order that the county judge of this county is designated the authorized official to apply for, accept, decline, modify, or cancel the grant application for the Indigent Defense Fund Formula Grant Program and all other necessary documents to accept said grant, and be it further resolved that the county auditor is designated as the financial officer for this grant. And that is my request today.
Second.
I have a motion apparently by Judge Lewis and a second by Commissioner Montgomery to approve the resolution and application for the FY 2022 formula grant for Texas Indigent Defense Commission. 28th day of September 2021.
No, this is just a small piece of what we're
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is, I don't know what the actual number is going to be yet until they get all the counties in that have applied and divvy the funds up. We're not exactly certain what it's going to be. The total award budgeted is 20.5 million, but that's allocated across many jurisdictions. And so I don't know exactly what ours would be until such time that we turn in our grant.
What do we spend between 600,000 and 700,000 a year?
Oh, yeah, easily. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the people have some really good talk.
It's 4% of the budget.
Sure, very expensive. very expensive. So, all right, motion second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, same sign, motion carries. I'll have to get that from you and upload it to the computer site nowadays. They don't take the snail mail anymore. So, all right, number 13, discuss and or approve Hill County Sheriff's and Constable's fees for 2022. I kind of expected more of a crowd than this, to be honest with you. But that being said, it's been some time since we adjusted our sheriff's and constable's fees. So I've had talks, Kevin Cordell, I think we'll talk with you, Sheriff, we've mentioned it with the Chief Deputy at least once, talked with the other constables, and what we've come up with is kind of basing it on the order of what Johnson County is doing. Johnson County seems to be about the happy medium around your own things. So they were at 85, we've been at 85, we're recommending moving all notices to 90 for the notices. And that would be cert, citation by posting, by publication, guardianship application, injunctions, precept, protective orders, restraining orders, guardianship cites, show cause, subpoena, summons, and any other notices, $90. Writs going to from $175 to $200. These writs take an inordinate amount of time, even at 200. It's, we're not trying to fleece anybody, but you're getting usually half a commissioner's day, if not more, after our constable's day, if not more, to do the paperwork and sort of writ. So all of our writ of attachments, commitments, writ of execution, writ of garnishment, writ of habeas corpus, writ of sequestration, writ of possession of eviction, writ of possession non-eviction, writ of reentry, writ of restoration of utilities, order of retrieval, writ order, all others not listed, capias, distress warrant, order of sale, turnover order, and will be $200. However, note that applicants for protective orders will not be charged a fee. We traditionally have not, that's not, our policy is you're coming to us for help, we're not going to do that. Other service fees that we have that we're looking at possibly changing, or we're going to change, I hope, is taking and approving bonds from the sheriff's office, $40 fee for that. Additional person per hour after initial 2 hours. Let's say we got a writ and suddenly we find ourselves beyond that initial 2 hours. We have to call somebody, or you got to call backup, bring somebody else out, charge additional $65. Then there's a bailiff fee that we can charge for bailiff services rendered by deputy, reserve deputy, or constable. It's a one-time fee charged in each civil case for costs for providing bailiff as a judicial support services. That's $20. We have increasing bailiff costs around here because of the number of bailiffs we've had to take on. Our security position has changed. The sheriff's been good to work with us, but this comes out of taxpayers' pockets as well. So there's a way to recruit some of those funding. Postage, certified or registered, $15. Copy per page, 10 cents per paper. Copies on paper per page, 10 cents. Copies on CD, $2. Copies on DVD, $5. And out-of-state affidavit service, $25. The next place of big change is the estrays. The estray business has become quite cumbersome. We're about to spend, it looks like, almost $50,000 instead of $10,000. So we've had a number of people come in, and I don't want to say it's long-time Hill County residents, and I don't want to be offensive to anybody, but we got some people that can't keep their fences mended. And we see a lot more calls for our animal officer than we have in the past. So we are allowed to charge certain things for estrays. To that, the initial call for pickup are proposing $95. And all this puts us in line with Johnson County and what they're doing similar. A lot of counties don't charge things, or they don't have it listed on their fees. And I think if we're going to charge a fee, we have a duty to list. So Johnson County has the most comprehensive sets. That's what you're going to hear me say. We're bouncing it off what Johnson County is doing a large bit. I think it's a little better set up than McClenny County's is. McClenny County is a little higher than us. Each additional animal, so initial pickup call includes the first animal, $95. Each additional animal, $50. Initial pickup call, but cancel prior to arrival, $50. Boarding fee, animal per day for days 1 through 10, $15 a day. For days 10 through disposition, $10 a day. Return delivery per animal, $60. Transport animal to veterinarian or auction per animal, $60. Isolation of animal, extra overboarding feeding per day at $7. We have a sick animal, we've got isolated, tends to take extra care of it. There's extra additional work that falls on us. Livestock pen by deputy or pickup man, $95. Each additional pen on site by deputy or pickup man, $40. The administrative fee of $25 and a collection fee of $25. Those are the only ones that I propose change. Anything I have not mentioned, I am not proposing to change at this time, but just trying to bring us into line with what some of the surrounding counties do and try to recoup the cost of our having to use the law enforcement system to take care of some folks' animals. And I'm going to be honest with you, when your animal gets out, Rick Brooks knows who you are in this county. He's calling you multiple times. I won't tell you how I know that, but I know it. So it's not like, hey, we're going out finding something on the road, we didn't make any effort, we're just picking somebody's animal up. We're going out of our way over and above what's required. And yet we still wind up with an inordinate number of animals. We have a cost associated. We have the cost of Mr. Brooks, his vehicle, his time, the county cowboys, when you got to bring those guys out, the pens we're going to build. And so it's my recommendation to help offset, it won't pay for it by any manner, but help offset some of those costs to change the Hill County Constable and Sheriff's fees for 2022, the aforementioned numbers. That's my 10 cents.
We have to spend a lot of money on cowboys.
A lot. Yeah, it goes up.
Uh-huh.
Make a motion to approve the sheriff and constable fees.
Second. Motion second to approve sheriff and constable fee for fiscal year 2022. Just for clarification purposes, these do go in calendar year. So January 1st is when they'll become effective, but I have to report them to the comptroller by October 1st, Friday. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 14, discuss and approve the cooperative working agreements between Hill County and each independent school district with Hill County, Texas. Come on, Mr. Wilkie, tell me what we got today.
Well, the corporate working agreement is something we do every year, and it's an agreement between the school districts and the county for us to go in and do the truancy work. And I've been doing the truancy work for 16 years, and it's every year it's growing. I mean, I already got quite a bit this year. So this agreement would be, if it's approved, I would take it out and have the superintendent sign it and get it back, here. It just allows us to help them in any truancy. Now, there's another thing I have to bring before you. It's something that just occurred, and it's the approval of interagency agreements. It's hard for us to get beds sometime for detention, especially with COVID, because they don't want to take them, or they have COVID in there and they don't want to bring any more kids in. And it's really hard for us to get beds right now. And Johnson County has, they use Hood County. They are rendering a lot, and they have several beds reserved. And they are willing to allow us to use one of their beds if we have somebody that has to be locked up. It's just one of those circumstances we have to get this kid locked up. They're willing to allow us to use one of their beds if necessary, and then we would pay the fee, whatever it costs to house that child. So, and that's the two things I have, is just to approve the cooperative working agreement again between the schools for truancy work, and then the interagency agreement for housing of juveniles if we have to.
Will we pay Johnson County or we'll pay Hood County?
I don't know if they will bill us or if they will bill Johnson County and they'll forward it to us. I'm not sure how that works.
I'm gonna guess we'll put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start off. Okay. We'll start off with the first item then, which is item number 14, discuss and approve cooperative working groups between Hill County and each of our 12 independent school districts within Hill County.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the cooperative working agreements. Is there any further discussion? I appreciate you gentlemen doing this, and in which case I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. These have been signed. And then let's go to number 15, which is under approved interlocal cooperation agreement for secure short-term detention services between Johnson and Hill County. As you heard, there's a need under the pandemic circumstances for an additional bed. This is kind of a last resort bed, as I understand it.
Yeah, because we just have these, some kids that we just have to lock them up to the ground and commit.
Yes, sir.
This is an opportunity for us to slip one in.
Okay, well, we heard a recommendation of approval from our county attorney, and therefore I will make a motion that we approve this interlocal agreement between Hill County and Johnson County, Texas. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the issue? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Good to see you. Number 16, public road hearing on, public hearing regarding a road change on Hill County Road 4411. All right, there's been a posted notice to possibly close Hill County Road 4411. Part of that procedure is to have a public hearing, which we're going to do today, but I think I understand that maybe we're not going to close that road today. Okay, let's go ahead and have a public hearing on it anyway. If anybody here to speak, if you would limit your comments to about 3 to 5 minutes in duration, and please identify yourself for the record.
I'm Ray Boston.
Mr.
We live on that road.
Yes, sir.
And my concern about shutting the road down is where we live at, going back out on the road that he's not wanting to shut down, is water may run over the road for a week at a time.
Oh.
In 2 different locations. And so this is the only way we can get out to go to work or go to school. So I don't know if you can see this, but there's a lake right there. We live right here.
Okay.
There's a lake right there that runs over the road. It just started running over the road the last 2 or 3 years. They graded it down too much. So if it had dirt built back up on it, it wouldn't be running over there. But all around this curve, there's a big old creek. It runs over for a week at a time if we get a lot of rain. So we have no way of getting to work or school or nothing else. So we have to go out this road.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing it to our attention. I appreciate it. Like I understand today, I didn't think we're going to close that road, but since we posted the hearing, our goal is to get everybody in to tell us what's going on out there, because sometimes it sounds like a good idea up front, but once you start looking into it, you find other issues. So we're glad you contacted us.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else here for public hearing on possible change regarding Hill County Road 4411? Nobody? Nothing? Okay.
Is this the one that lady was here about? Or the guy that's gonna put up the gate?
No, that's a different one. That's
This road here, it appears the people who did the development north of Paul's Corner, they have a contract of 1,000 acres that goes on both sides of this road, places, and they're checking to see if they can rebuild the road for the county. So that sounds like a good deal.
Yeah,
sure.
I think you're about to have a bunch of new neighbors out there is what we're hearing. Sorry. We can close the road if you wanted us to. Yeah, I understand. Same thing. It's just the county's growing and ain't what you can do
I
about
think
it.
it's Mr. Austin's daughter and grandchild and parents.
No, my daughter, her husband, and their kid, and my parents.
Okay. All right, well, anybody else with public hearing regarding a road change at Hill County Road 4411? If not, we're going to ahead and close the public hearing. Let the record reflect the public hearing was closed at 10:05 a.m. The next item is discuss and approve a road change to the aforementioned road 4411. It's my understanding there will be no change to abandon or vacate at this time, and therefore we will take no action. Should we have to take action again in the future, we will be required to repost this, so we have to start the process over. So don't think that we're just not going to take action today and tomorrow we'll do something different. It's just, if something else is going to come up, we'll revisit it at a later date, but we'll be required to go through the whole posting and notice process again. So, all right, thank you for bringing it to our attention. All right, so that moves us on to number 18. Number 18 today is discuss and approve refinance transport vans and Tahoes with American National Leasing for Hill County Sheriff's Office. And so we have currently financed 6 Tahoes and
2 transport vans.
2 transport vans. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So when we did the lease purchase on these, the interest rate was 4.15, the finance rate, and they're going to knock it down to 2.75, which should save us a few grand, basically just a couple grand. So we're asking that we are able to lower the financing from.
Did y'all threaten them to get the lower rate? I mean, how does that work?
I think they. Go ahead.
Susan asked, she said, I think we can get lower than that. We bought
Well done.
a check, so I just asked her, and I said, yeah.
Wow.
And Susan is aware of this.
Okay. While we're on this subject, and I don't know if this agenda item is worded right, I've got a government lease purchase agreement 3024C that was put in front of me yesterday. I can't find anywhere that we've previously approved 3024Cs. So I need to catch up after court to talk about this and what it is we can do.
These are the 2021s we ordered last year.
Yeah, I think they've changed contract number on us. So we need to talk about that afterwards. I don't think we can take any action by the way my agenda is worded because I wasn't anticipating to talk about this, but we need to get together before when the meeting's over. So anyway, so what we have is a discussion to approve refinance of the transport vans at Tahoe's American National Leasing. And we're going to drop it from interest rate of 4.15 down to 2.75. Good job, guys.
Any motion?
I love motion. Motion is great.
Take a motion.
So I have motion from Commissioner Montgomery. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second from Commissioner Crumpton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions, the motion shall carry. The order is on the second page. I'll pass it around. Number 19, discussing or approving amendment global Deadening contract. I got some interesting news from well, he's gone now, our attorney for our economic development process. Mr. Dixon obviously advises people on lots of municipal and governmental issues, and he just made small talk for and said, hey, did y'all realize that there's going to be a big change in how these telephone companies are allowed to do the commissary? Okay, so you're aware of that. I've not read it, so I don't know what the whole story is, but does this address it or no?
So yes, that's what precipitated it.
Okay.
However, we're gonna ask that it be put off because the auditor wanted some additional wording put in it, and we didn't have time to get it in there. So if we can maybe put it to the next one, we should be good to go.
We can do that. We'll push it to our first meeting in October. Thank you, Mr. Ross. I appreciate you. All right, so we'll push that forward till next time. 20, discuss and approve a proposal for inspection service from RPS to inspect a new bridge over Brooklyn Creek on Hill County Road 3206. This is the old adage, there's no such thing as free money. So we've got some federal money, some state money to build a new bridge, and now we got to go spend some more money to get an inspection on it, which is fine by me. Mr. Hawkins, Commissioner Hawkins, has gone out and got us a bid from a professional corporation, which I don't believe we're actually required to get bids for these professional services. But the inspection of Hill County Bridge, Ms. Rachel Parker in the auditor's office contacted their people, Mr. Gutierrez, their engineer, and requested a proposal for inspections. So they've got the proposal for inspections in front of us, the lump sum fee of $7,935. Yeah, it's a big bridge, but wow. I imagine most of that's probably paying their insurance, so if they're wrong on that inspection. But their scope of work includes mobilization to Hill County from Houston, perform bridge inspection, photographs, measurements, review inspection findings, perform measurement verification, prepare certification letter and bridge inspection report, including field inspection photographs, perform internal quality control, quality assurance reviews, address internal comments, and deliver the final certification letter and bridge inspection in electronic format. So that's what they're going to do for us.
So he has $140,000 hanging out there with him.
Yes, sir. That's it. We got to spend $7,900 to get 140 back.
Love the way that works.
Scotty, what do you think?
I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
All kind.
He got
He's $140,000.
He came back quick.
He wasn't sitting there as calculator, was he? All right. So, all right, we have a motion and a second to approve the proposal for inspection services from RPS to inspect the new bridge over Brooklyn Creek on Hill County Road 3206. Hey, Scott, what do you think of that bridge?
I like the bridge. It's nice.
Good. This one won't float away, right?
No, it's not going to float away. We've actually had to rain on it. It ran probably 3/4 of bank about 2 weeks after it was completed. So it stayed. Everything looks good. And I'm looking forward to getting it approved and getting our money back.
All right. Well, slowly moving forward. All right. In which case, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries unanimously. So that takes us to number 21, which is discuss and approve, forgive me, to a proposal with intended sound. And I have shuffled the deck once again. I have the proposal. Hang on, bear with me just a second. I know exactly what that. Sorry.
You buying lunch today?
I gotta go get in a truck. I hope they're the way it's going. I hope they're done by the time I get there.
I gotta go get on a brush cutter because my guy's down there at your house on the road.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was thinking about just going out there on a brush cutter and jacket and tie, so I mean, people notice.
As long as you can, air conditioner's working, that's good. You know, I've been waiting on their brush cutter on the front of the valve. It's messed up and the boom won't stay up. And it keeps dropping all the time. It wears them out, just keeping it up. I've been waiting on that for a month and a half. Get a replacement part. Get a replacement.
What is it? Is it Tiger?
No. What's the other one?
Alamo.
Vermeer. What'd you say, Scotty?
Alamo.
Alamo.
Oh, good. Mr. Holly, how are you today? Can you hear me, Jerry?
Yes, sir, I can.
You've got the floor. Tell us about your proposal for the Hill County Court AV system.
Very good. My name is Jerry Hawley. I represent Infinity Sound. We have made proposal on Judge Crane's courtroom on the improvement to the audio visual system. The system provides for basically audio and video presentation, speech reinforcement, audio recording using projectors, audience loudspeakers, and a recording unit. The sources include the computer inputs, the wireless video gateway, document camera, wireless microphones for both counsel 1 and 2, judge, and the witness. The control system has a custom interface that will be approved before finalization. The audio is a wireless audio system with a redundant wired backup in case the wireless piece were to falter. The video is also a wireless connectivity for anyone who would be authorized to use that. And it would also be, it would also have a wireless or a wired redundant portion to it as well. The judge will have the ability to mute mics of counsel 1, 2, as well as a floater if it's needed, of a handheld microphone for the gallery. There's also a portable document cam that is able to be used to ingest media into the system and shown on the projector. Speakers will be mounted in such a way as to not interfere with any of the decorative pieces, and it will be surface mounted.
And this includes all wiring and installation as well?
And including all the wire and the installation. Yeah.
Okay. Guys, what was the overall bid, sir?
The overall bid is for $55,680 even.
So what you're hearing is $55,680. This is on the buy board. This is expensive. Why is it expensive? Because we are starting from scratch and you'll have the most technologically advanced courtroom you've ever seen in this county. This is going to include all installation. This is the AV, the video. So it's not just the microphones and speakers. It's Judge Crane's courtroom, yes. So this is going to be a pretty slick setup, and it will maybe start getting up to what some other courtrooms around the state look like, and the technology lawyers and judges expect nowadays. So Judge Crane, have you had a chance to talk with the gentleman from Infinity Sound?
I haven't had yes.
Pretty
I
pleased.
haven't had an opportunity to look at this yet.
If you'd like to take a second. If you've got any questions.
From what I heard, it sounds good.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good.
Flying first class.
Well, there's just so much more that happens in the courtroom nowadays that we've got to present to individuals. I don't want to say it's because everybody's grown up watching CSI the last 20 years. But people expect certain things nowadays. And clarity in videos and clarity in communication, you've got to have that. So in this process of rebuilding this courthouse, we're going to take some steps to improve those. These other courtrooms as well. But now you've got a head start here because the wiring's in place, the speakers are in place, and it's just kind of fine tuning. There's some other aspects that we need to address, but not to the extent that we have to in that room.
You don't need it starting off like Tom did this morning.
No, well, we don't, that pixelated sound is not a good thing to do. I think it feels court from.
Mm.
Yes, ma'am. What kind of support the question for you, sir, is what kind of support do you offer with that package?
We offer, with our design build services, we offer a 3-year warranty, which this will carry. We also have available service contracts or service agreements that we put in place for an extra fee.
So 3 years to start off with, and you can buy more after that, what they're saying. If you need.
That's correct. And training, of course, for the staff.
And is the training for the staff included in this package?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Other questions? Philip, anything you can think of? I mean, you are my IT guy, so I should probably run this by you.
Judge Commissioners, I contacted Jerry with Infinity Sound and had him come down and use this proposal. So I don't have any questions. I've been working with Jerry pretty closely on this, and as well as Judge Crane, just to make sure that we cover all the bases and Judge Crane everything that he's asking for.
So we're gonna have them look at the other courtrooms and
We will. What Infinity's already done for us, we haven't come up and adjust the sound on the district courtroom, but that's not going to solve the problem. You know, I'll give you an example of the issue we're having. Look up in the ceiling here. You see these speakers stand out here? If you recall, just about 2 years ago, these speakers did not stand out. They're the same color as the ceiling. The reason behind that is these speakers were not originally that color. They put speakers in after they installed the ceiling, and then they painted the ceiling. And guess what that did to the speakers? Since the day they built this place, those speakers had been full of paint. So that's the same thing in the district courtroom. All those ceiling speakers, we had the Infinity people come in with their test equipment and set up shop. There's only 2 speakers that work in that whole courtroom. Those are the 2 that are mounted on the south wall. That is part of our problem. We also have been looking at the possibility of sound deadening panels in that courtroom, which is important. Go ahead, Mr. Crane. Were there sound deadening panels included in your proposal, sir? I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
No, sir.
No? Do you think?
No, sir. No, it was determined that the system would be put in place at first, and then we would look at any dampening that may need to be done post installation.
Okay.
For Judge Crane's court.
Correct, for Judge Crane's courtroom.
That's correct.
So looking at the district courtroom, I say going in, we've got some sound deadening panels. Apparently that's what that cloth was designed to be behind where the photographs were on the north wall of that courtroom. But it's such a cavernous space that the sound, we're going to have to do more. We were able to have the guys come out and work with the existing equipment, but I think the gentleman's remark was, it's like we've been putting Band-Aids on a cut artery.
That's the courtroom that's gonna get partial carpet.
That's Judge Crane's courtroom. I think Judge Crane has asked for carpet in that courtroom. That should help with the sound deadening. Look, these courtrooms are pretty, but they're terrible acoustically because you've got wooden floors and 10 ceilings, and that just doesn't work. You will see them lay down a wooden floor in that courtroom. There will be a wooden floor underneath it. The rationale behind that is we have to have the heights. There's too much of a drop off into that courtroom. So we'll put the wooden floor down. Anytime in the future, should the carpet have to come up for some reason, there'll be the wood floor underneath it already, and that'll be taken care of. Any questions, Mr. Crane? All right. Well, do you approve? You accept? All right. Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second. You're happy with it.
Okay.
We're gonna use your courtroom for show and tell. We're gonna drag everybody through there and go,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right. So what we have then is a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the proposal from Infinity Sound? And they are on the buy board, and I've been emailed that buy board number. I'll get that to the auditor's office. If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion to carry unanimously. So moving on to number 22, discuss and approve the Hill County Indigent Burial Policy. So gentlemen, we've looked at this once before over the years. As you well know, the county has a responsibility to bury indigent defendants. That's all there is to it. Not indigent defendants, indigent individuals that die in our county. So over the years, there's been kind of different ways of doing things. The county judge has done it for some time. And if you've ever been with me, I have a number of people that stay with me permanently in the closet back there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I'd like to get out of that business, to be frank with you. So talking with Ms. April Cook, our indigent healthcare coordinator, that she has expressed an interest in taking over the indigent pauper disposition. So there is a software module that she can get for her current software, because we don't have a way of tracking this in our office other than writing it on a piece of paper, basically. There is a module that can track this to help us better manage this going forward. We paid for an inordinate amount of cremations this last year. It's just, we've had a lot of people pass if there's no one there to take care of them. And so we've had that policy for some time, but I thought it's better that we go ahead and generate a new application. So Ms. Cooks give her version. I've reviewed it and made changes, and we're on good where we need to be. But our indigent pauper is basically starts off with our general information, and it recites our authorities under the Health and Safety Code, our provision of services, that disposition of pauper remains assistance may be provided to eligible Hill County residents and families who lack the income or resources to afford any type of funeral expenses, and who may meet eligibility requirements under this policy. All requests must be approved by designated Hill County employee, the caseworker, prior to disposition of the remains. I'm going to propose into this discussion that we appoint Mrs. Cook as that caseworker. So cremation.
Keep all the people in her office.
We didn't discuss that. Why are you ruining it for me? Caveat emptor, buyer beware. It's too late now. Almost done deal. So we have, cremation is the approved method. Now, under law, the only exception being a documented religious affiliation of the deceased pauper who died in Hill County. Well, if you can document that to me, that means they've got family. Family means they have a duty to take care of that person. So take care of that person's remains. So the program administration, we go down through our criteria, our definitions, our application process is how the setup is. We go to page 2 that continues the definition. Wow, crickets. All right. So yeah, it is that time of year. Actually, ooh, yeah. Ooh. I don't have to ride the elevator this time of year. Pauper is, we define pauper, we define applicant, we define caseworker, we define common law marriage, which that's very common in these circumstances. We've defined as decedent, emancipated minor, forgive me, fiscal year, funeral home, household, and what that means, income, next of kin, residency, resources, third party, in 30-day period. All of these are things that I previously had issues with people, and so this is good to have them define what they mean. Again, we recitation of our legal authority under section 692 of the Health and Safety Code. We look at our general purposes on page 4. We talk about a residency, nursing home resident, or hospital inpatient, and they're considered a resident if they've been in that facility for longer than 6 months to establish residency. So the funeral home will have assumed responsibility for the person's final arrangements if has not been established. So we have put together, I think, what is a pretty thorough policy. We've gone out and looked at a lot of other counties' policies. We've reviewed the important statutes, that we're well within those statutes. But what this is finally laying out to a better degree what our policy is in regards to paupers and paupers funerals. And since it is becoming something we're going to see more and more of, I'd like to have a better way of dealing with this. We also have propagated an application process, and we talk about that application process. We have provided you gentlemen with an application, rather thick, but there's a necessity to document things there. We also have an appeal process. So if somebody gets an application, it's denied by the caseworker, it lays out what that appellate process is, and then how we reimburse the funeral home, and any additional provisions you can find on that second to last page. This is the indigent decedent pauper disposition assistance policy and the application for disposition of decedent's remains. I recommend that we approve this and have this go into effect October 1, 2021.
I'll make a motion approved.
Motion. Second. And a second. So we have a motion and a second to approve the Hill County indigent decedent pauper disposition assistance policy and the application for disposition of decedent's remains. Is there any further discussion?
It's just cremation. We don't pay for the funeral.
It is cremation. There, I just want to be clear, the 99.9% cremation. There are some times though that we will have to actually bury. For example, if we cannot identify the body, we come in possession of a body, remains, whatever, that we cannot identify, we have a duty to bury those people for later identification. There's also that other religious exemption, which in 15 years here, I've never had it applied. It does exist in law, though. It's something we would have to consider. But again, it's going to have to be well documented, and anybody that can document that, the catch-22 on that is somebody's family is going to have to come up and say that's mine. Well, the family has a duty for their remains. So it's also, our first deal under law is we have to take a decedent that's indigent, then we have to offer that body to medical science. So it's not like we automatically cremate people. There's a process we go through. You first have to offer the body to science, and if science takes it, they deal with the cremains. We don't normally get those back. If a body is not in a condition where a science program will use it for a cadaver, then that's when it comes into play that we've got to make some choices under our policy as to how we're going to do it. But like I said, the large majority of it is cremation.
I think my wife's gonna donate my body to science.
They're wasting their time.
So we have a
Is there
motion.
a way that we do not have to store the remains or whatever? I mean, is there some way we can?
So here's the next step in this process. We've been pretty lucky over the years. By lucky, when I got here, there was a few, there's some more and we run at least every 6 months, veterans background on them. And I think that since we started this policy, that the funeral homes really helped out doing a lot of that. If we can show that this person was a veteran of the United States military in any form or fashion, we can get those remains properly and honorably interred in the state cemetery in Fleet. So, and then, our veteran service officer, one of the jobs you didn't know he had, he will personally escort those remains to the state cemetery and observe their
So they're gonna be in her closet from now.
So that's the other thing. Some people show up sometimes to collect their person. Twice, I've had somebody walk in the office and say, this has happened twice in the last 15 years. Somebody walked in the office and said, hey, we had a relative that lived here at one time. We just looking to see if you guys might know how to help us find him. So what's his name? Yeah, hang on a second. I know exactly where he's at. And then you have to break the news to them that they're deceased and that they have their remains. And if you would like their remains, if you please sign on the dotted line, I will, after showing some identification and swearing you are who you say you are, that I will release the remains to you. So, but there are some people that stack up back there, and I have approached some other cemeteries, and we're still working on this. I think we'll get on here at the end of the year, hopefully, about finding a county plot. In a county cemetery plot, we have done some calculations with a 9-inch auger postal digger, how many cremains we can place in a single plot. And I think at our estimated rate, it would take us like 20 years to fill up a single plot. You want this job? Yeah. This is what I do for a living, people. Y'all didn't know this, huh? I mean, when I ran for this job, nobody told me I was a crypt keeper. I didn't get out. So if you think that your job is odd, you come talk to the county judge, and I will show you some things I do that we're not even going to talk about here that are off the charts. So, and by the way, I apologize for not answering the phone for your deputy for that blood draw search warrant last night. But when I went to bed at 10 o'clock, I didn't wake up till 4:30 this morning. So 3 missed calls. All right, I got a motion in a second. Is there any discussion, any further discussion on this topic? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. You have to come, man.
Why would you want that?
Because she's a nice person.
Did she bring the
I never
card?
heard her say a word. Are you sure she wants this?
Did she bring a two-wheel car?
What's that?
Did she bring a two-wheel car?
All right, this time
No,
then.
we gotta do this.
Oh, so we have to go back. We have a problem because I was informed that we had a preliminary plat for this subdivision.
I don't see, and I have not heard from the check. We never did
So
we didn't approve the preliminaries.
what I'm going to ask you to do at this time is to revisit the previous agenda item in this matter, which would be agenda item number 11. And I'm going to ask the court, but I'll make a motion that we revoke, or yeah, revoke's the way to go. Revoke our previous motion. Is there a second? Is that revocation? Motion is second to revoking the previous approval of the final plat. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. I cannot approve the preliminary plat at this time because it is not on the agenda as such. So what I will do is reach back out to these folks and to our county surveyor.
Rescind.
Rescind.
That's the word.
Rescind. You amend your motion to rescind?
You made the motion. to
All
rescind.
right, I amend my motion to rescind. You amend your motion to second.
I'll second.
And is the vote still all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so it's rescind. So I'm gonna reach back out to the county surveyor because I was ill-informed on this matter and get this corrected. We'll bring it back at our next regular commissioners court meeting for approval of the preliminary plat. And then we'll go from there to the final plat. So thanks for catching that. I appreciate you.
Make a motion adjourned.
Motion and second to adjourn. Any further thing before this body? If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you for your attention to these matters today.